Hello, buddy. Welcome back to the Tinmans Corner channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I thought I'd get on here and tell you guys another dream that I had, and I just had this one last night. So let's get started. Me and one of my cousins, along with my classmates, Blitz Rich and Bob the Racer, a shout out to them, by the way, and two twin boys that I used to talk to back in high school and middle school, were invited to go to this event that they were having at a college. Like, college classes were still going on, but the event stuff was happening outside of the building, basically. They opened up a new movie theater for the students. I was like, a movie theater? That's awesome. And guess who was the star there? Mel Gibson. I'm not kidding. He was there, and I think he was wearing a germ mask because he was sick, but he still came anyway. And I was so starstruck, I wanted to shake his hand, but a guy that was handling his affairs told me to step on a piece of tape. They kind of spaced it out a distance from him. I said I didn't care. It was nice to meet him. And he was a nice guy to talk to. I told him I liked The Patriot. His role in Expendables 3 as the villain was amazing. And he was loving every word I was saying. But anyway, I told him I was not going to hold him up, because I know he's got a long line of people to meet. But it was nice meeting him. And we took a photo. And the movies that they were playing in the theater for that night was one of his new movies. And the other one was a animated Pixar movie. And on the poster, I'm not kidding, it was Mr. Incredible, but he was wearing like a khaki type shirt and no mask, and he was holding a gun. I was like, whoa, 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 what is this? Mr. Incredible going into the jungle? I said, that looked weird. But of course, for certain movies, they had different size theaters for you to watch them. So Mel Gibson's new movie was being showed off in the main theater, which had like an upper balcony, and then you had like the lower seating area. I was like, oh man, this is great. But I was put in a group that went to go see the other movie first. I was like, oh, dadgummit. And they locked the doors just so nobody would bother us while we were watching. And that theater was set up more like, imagine a large size lab, but everywhere you look, seats. I was like, okay, this is way smaller than the other one. But it still had like sections of the floor that was cut out. You know how movie theaters seats look, where they're like going lower down at the bottom of the ground? That's what it looked like. But it wasn't as big. But anyway, while we were watching the movie, we all got terrified when we heard somebody screaming, and we thought it was in the movie. But we turned around, and there was a lot of people that was running around, and we heard bang, 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 heavy hits against the metal door. And I was glad it was metal, because it was really taking the impact, until finally a hole about this big gave in and broke through, but the doors were still locked. And I was like, oh my goodness, whatever's beating that thing is really strong. Guess what it was? A wolf creature that looked similar to this werewolf from Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman, but the only difference was his face looked a tad bit wider and had more fur around the cheeks. And I saw his eyes were glowing red, and he looked like he wanted to break down that door and attack all of us. I mean, it was me and one of the twin boys I just mentioned, and a few other random people. But once I saw that creature was staring, I felt like I wanted to duck and hide. And the twin boy named Rob did the same thing. We were kind of huddled next to each other just so we could make a run for it. And lo and behold, that door gave in, like, bang, just made it wide open. And then he walked in, and that creature started talking like normal human talk, but with an evil accent. Like, I know you guys are in here. Like, something like that, but way deeper. And I was like, oh my God. And it could smell our fear. Like, he kept turning his head different directions, like, grabbed onto a woman, took his claws and cut her face and ripped her blouse shirt she had on. I think it cut her in the midsection, but nothing too lethal, and then he just throwed her. I was like, oh my God. Then he saw me and Rob came towards us. He grabbed me and just chucked me over the chairs. I landed so hard onto the floor, and I saw that creature, when he grabbed onto me, cut my arm. Here's where everything gets crazy. I didn't want Rob to get injured, but from the cut on my arm, I noticed I was starting to grow fur, and I said, oh crap, I'm starting to turn just like him. But thank God I didn't, because in my dream, I turned into the Wolfman like Benicio del Toro turned into in the Wolfman 2010 movie. But instead of black hair, my hair was dark brown. I got up, started howling and roaring at him. And Rob said, oh my God, Jeffrey, what has he done to you? And I was able to talk normally too. And I said, Rob, get the others out of here. I'll handle this big son of a gun. He liked that. He thought it was a challenge. I don't know where that thing came from. It must have came in from outside, broke in. But anyway, he came towards me and I picked him up and threw him back out of the theater door. And he got mad because he thought he was stronger than me. I walked on all fours out of there, crawled to the end of the hallway, opposite from where he's at, got up on my legs, and I was like, you want me? Come and get me. You sick dog MFer. Really challenged him. He roared almost like a mad lion. And he got on his paws and just started charging towards me. And I told everybody to get away now. He bumped into my chest real hard. I flung backwards into the other theater, and nobody was paying attention to all of this. They were just watching the Mel Gibson movie, and he was in there. But I jumped up to the balcony where the projector was at, and I told the projector man, even though he was scared looking at me, I said, there's another wolf creature here. He's much more terrifying than I am. Right there. Like I pointed down to him. I said, we got to get these people out of here without causing a panic. And the other people in the balcony already saw what was going on, so they heard what I said, and they said, let's get out of here. And I opened up the door quietly and let them all out. That wolf creature was starting to head towards the people in the front lower row of the theater, and Mel Gibson was down there along with his manager guy. So I jumped on him from the balcony. He was about to let off a big roar, and I covered his mouth and pulled him back out into the hallway of the school, and he wanted to do another round with me. I said, okay, let's go. He came charging, tried to throw a fist, and I blocked him, and then grabbed his arm, broke his wrist. And I said, yep, you can't run on all fours now. I grabbed onto his head, and while I was doing that, I saw some SWAT team people was coming in because the college saw that wolf creature came in earlier, but all the students saw what I did, and they were trying to tell me to hurry up and get rid of him and we can help get out of here. I said, okay. So I did. I ripped that wolf's head off. His body collapsed on the floor, and I was carrying his head like a trophy, but then the SWAT team was about to enter the hallway that we were on, so the students that were there told me to go. And I did. I dropped the head there, and the students showed an emergency exit and opened it up for me. Luckily, it didn't have no siren noise working on it. And I started transforming back to me, and my clothes did not have no sign of blood or it was ripped badly. I just kind of blended in with the other students until everything calmed down, and I ended up in a class that it was technically like the last day of college for these students. And the movie theater was like an addition to their little village that they set up, because it was not only college, they had like the movie theater, stores, coffee shops, and restaurants on campus. Rob and his twin brother found me, and also my cousin and Blitz Rich and Bob the Racer, because they heard what happened and they looked at my scratch and it was almost healed up. I was thinking, how in the world did I transform anyway? Because he didn't bite me, he just scratched me. No full moon out. So we came to the conclusion, like, it's almost like that Blumhouse Wolfman movie where you get bit or scratched by another wolf creature, you'll become one. But I was able to transform back and forth, and not be stuck in wolf form. I said, okay, I'm a little worried. Students heard about my heroism and snuck me and my friends and cousin to this lab, and they talked to a professor of chemistry there, and they said, "Is there any way to like reverse his Wolfman transformations?" He said, "I think there might be a possibility of reversing it." So he took a sample of my blood. He said, "Yep, there's a problem right there. That DNA from that wolf creature got into my bloodstream and then my DNA. So that's why I was able to heal quicker and grow a lot of fur and have claws and fangs and stuff." But he was able to synthesize an antidote, inject it into me. I felt like I wanted to transform again. My face started crunching into wolf-like features, and then it just went back to normal. And I was like, "Oh, thank God." And I told him about the other people that were scratched up really bad, and I was afraid they might transform into wolf-like creatures. And long and behold, the SWAT team was grabbing those people. They were actually starting to turn hairy as well, but they turned into different wolf creatures than the one that attacked us and I turned into. So the professor got some more of that antidote and asked the SWAT team if he could inject it. He said, "Yeah, go ahead." So we did. They kind of spasmed out a little bit, and then they turned back to normal. I was like, "Golly, this is a crazy thing happening." And then we all just left, and I said, "I think we'll see Mel Gibson's new movie in the actual theater, or wait until it gets on DVD." But the others said, "We agree." But then I woke up. I was like, that was the most strangest dream I ever had. But let me know down in the comments if you had dreams where you were fighting a werewolf type creature, or you turned into a wolf man creature like I did in my dream. But don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more dream related content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tinmans Corner channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor. I said that's a wrap, and have a nice day, buddy.